So today's talk is called In the Know, and as you can tell from the quotes, it's kind of about taking this thing of when things aren't going so well, and instead of seeing it as a problem, seeing it as guidance, seeing it as something trying to wake us up. And when you're actually living in the know, do you even know anymore when you're living in the know? Because we've been taught for so long to do things against our own nature. And I know when I was hired as a special event designer with my design background, I was so excited. I wanted the job so badly. I interviewed for it and I got it. And I was like, oh, let me have this, let me have it. And I got it. I got the job. But when I showed up the first day of work, they led me to my cubicle and said, this is where you will create. And this part of me went, it's in a cubicle. And I could hear all these conversations of these people selling events all around me. And I was like, oh, this isn't going to work. And I kept coming up with excuses. Oh, I got to go shop for something. I got to go do this. And I had to sign in and sign out every time I left. And then we'd be on conference calls, and I would meet clients, and it's like you had to please the clients. Everybody was afraid of the client being upset. And so when I was leaving to go to work one morning, and I walked out in the winter, and everything looked fine, and I was running a little late, but I thought if everything goes well, I'm going to make it there. I went flying down my granite steps and landed on my back, and I hit black ice. And I was just laying there sprawled, and all my books and all my creative ideas were all around me. And I got up, and I fell again. Oh. No. And I thought, well, this is interesting. It's, black ice. You can't see it. And I just got hurt. No big deal. But I also started to notice I wasn't sleeping, and I was getting sick all the time. And everything was going against who I was, and I just didn't understand that what was happening for me was I was living in the know, the N-O of my life. The part of me that enjoyed it was the creative aspect of it. But being creative with my hands tied was not working for me at all. Learning to fear other people and knowing I had to please them all the time and that they might get upset if the salt shaker wasn't on the table in the moment they needed it was totally not working with who I was. And I realized I was living in the know, and my relationships were not working, and this was not working. My boss was becoming, it seemed as a huge bully. And all that was really going on was my true nature was saying, no, no. And, enjoy this experience, sit in this experience as long as you want, but understand that a lot of times when things aren't running smoothly, it is simply because you stepped outside of your own path and you're trying to live in a different person's view of the world. So what worked beautifully for them was not working beautifully for me. The parts that were working were great. So finally I would say, I just can't work in a cubicle. And my immediate boss was having a fit. Of course you can work in a cubicle. But I had decided I'm going to quit. If you're going to make me work in a cubicle, I'm going to quit. So I went in to give my resignation, and they were happy with what I was doing, and they said, okay, you can work out of your home. And so then I was working out of my home, and then it was summertime and no events were going on, and I thought I'd love to be hiking. So I need to be able to go out of town for a couple months. And it made total sense to me. Nothing was going on and everything we did was out of town anyway, so why can't my phone and my computer be out of town? This wonderful technology we have now. And so my immediate boss said, no way, you're not going out of town. So I gave my resignation. And they said, okay, you can go out of town. So, it was like, but I wanted to let you know that as I was giving my resignation, it was very scary because my bank account was saying, this is working. My bills were getting paid. All this stuff was working. Are you crazy? You don't risk what's working. You're paying your bills. You're supporting your lifestyle. But this other part of me said, I need to be in the mountains. There's aspen trees. And there's nothing else going on here. And so my mind was telling me this is all going to work. And it did. But when I would go out to a site inspection to figure out, okay, what am I going to do with this event in New Orleans, and I've got to meet with all the florists and all these different people, and rent the china and the crystal and all these different things, and look at this room and say, okay, how am I gonna make it not look like an ugly ballroom, and instead have these huge set pieces and props and things to transform the room. I would go and I would crawl into bed and think, okay, I'm gonna rest a little while. I just got to New Orleans, I'm gonna rest, or wherever I was. But I could not get out of bed. I go, this is crazy. What's wrong with me? Oh, I'll get some more caffeine. That's what I'll do. Or I'll just take another nap. Or tomorrow morning I will really be, man, I'm gonna, just jump on this project and get this thing done. But I couldn't get out of the room. It was like, I'd get dressed, I'd take a shower, I'd drink lots of coffee, I'd start to head out the door, I'd go plodding down the street, and I'd go, I'm so exhausted, I've gotta go back. But this was amazing to me. I was doing what I wanted to do. But as I was there, thinking anybody would love this job, anybody would like this money, anybody in their right mind and design would think this was the best thing that ever happened, my entire body was going, no. So I now understand that what was going on was I was living in my no. And I now understand what it feels like. And it's one of those wonderful lessons of God speaking into our lives, that as we are designed and we come in here and we choose to come in here, we come in with certain gifts and abilities that we are here to express. They're planted within us. And the creativity was something I was supposed to express, but this package that it was in was about a large company competing with other large companies and having the largest event to impress the most people, and to have all these wonderful flowers and everything setting out and all this beautiful stuff where everybody came and drank, and then when they left, after they ate and drank, we tore it all down and we threw all the flowers away, and it was all just a big show. It was a big facade. And then when I finally decided, even though I had tweaked the job as much as I could to try to make it work, and it still wasn't working, I decided to give my notice and go back to what it is I loved, which was buying and renovating homes, to see the potential in something and be able to just create a space for somebody that endured, that they would say, this is my home now. That worked for me. I got to use all my creative abilities, I got to take my risk, I got to do the time schedule I wanted to, but it worked perfectly and fit perfectly for me, and I had success in it, and I had energy. Oh my gosh, I couldn't turn off the ideas. I couldn't stop shopping for what it was that would be the perfect stained glass window or whatever. Everything was just working and flowing perfectly for me. That was a big yes. So I started paying attention to that. But when I gave my notice, right after I gave my notice, it turned out that the company I was working for that was showing these huge profits, and the stocks were just over the top, and they were splitting all the time, which I didn't even know what that was because I had never bought any stocks in my entire life. But everybody was thinking, man, I should be buying these. These people are talking about how their investments are going great. Well, it turns out what was being told to the public at the analyst conference was not true. And when the true information came out, the company went, and stocks that were at $70 and $80 are now going down to $4. There's a part of me who knew that was going on. That's my essential self. That's our intuition. That's why things weren't working for me. Because it can read what we can't see even. Something was off here. And so that's the yes and the no. And sometimes we may not be able to see what it is, but behind the scenes, there's something going on that we don't actually have to find out what it is. We just have to listen to what's going on in our lives. What's going on in my body? Do I have energy? Am I clear-headed? If I'm in a fog and I have no energy, I need to look at my life and say, what is saying no here? What's not working? If I'm not at peace, if I'm not joyful, if I don't feel like I'm in harmony and in balance, something's trying to talk to me. And I'm going to say it's Spirit or God saying, you're kind of off course here. And that's why the first quote is, a blocked path also offers guidance. Things not working is a great way of maneuvering me over to what would work for me. And that was great to realize that.